Hey, it's me again, Jim Calic from Jim Calic's Vids. I'm also a YouTuber on other channels as well. This is another video I want to talk about. This right here is an iPad 4th generation, which is my previous iPad before I started using my new iPad Pro, which by the way is awesome. I recommend this to anyone who is switching from Android to iOS or whoever's a current Android user, but Android sucks. So whoever wants an iPad, that's expensive, but they're worth it. Anyway, this is my old iPad, and it's a bit beat up, as you can probably see. Now, why I'm showing this is because I recently, by that I mean this morning, I charged this thing up enough so I could turn it on. And I did that so I could find some songs off of a certain app so I can download it to my Spotify, which I already did. And I haven't put it away yet, so I figured I would just do a quicker video on it, just to show how it performs. Now, just before I turn this on, this thing has an outdated version of iOS. I believe it's running on iOS 10.3, which is 3 years old at this point, 3.5 years old, so it's technically not really a valid OS, since we have all the new iOS 11, iOS 12, and this upcoming iOS 13. So this thing is basically really slow and can't be, and it's as slow as it looks. So big bezels in the front, a bit cracked over here, and get that old-fashioned button. So let's turn this baby on. It's fast powered on. Okay. Now, this layout is a bit older from what I'm used to. And it says swiping up, you gotta hit this to unlock it. See how much slower that was? It's got a dirt background on there. I use my new iPad to edit all my videos on this channel. On my fishing channel, which is a whole different channel in general, I use my computer and my GoPro, which I have right there. Anyway, there's about 5 or 6 apps here that's tried to install but couldn't, either because the operating system is outdated or simply because it just didn't have storage. Now, the icons, like these little messages, don't look any different on the new iOS operating systems, but they do look different. Everything else in terms of layout looks different as well. So, yeah. What? Why it keeps doing that? Some kind of glitch, I guess. It does that involuntarily. Like, I'm trying to delete the apps, but it just does that. Like, I don't know what's going on here. How many apps do I have to click out of here? Okay, I'm not doing that anymore. So basically, the backstory of this iPad is about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, this thing couldn't update iOS 11, so it became, right away, it wasn't really that out of date. But then the new iPad Pro came out, and I saw that, and I at first couldn't afford it 2 years ago, so I got a little upset. So then I managed to make enough money to afford a new one, so I grabbed a hold of that one. Unfortunately, there's too much on this iPad I can't take off. A lot of the apps on this thing are out of date, and like you can't get Photoshop Touch anymore, which kind of upsets me. It's a touch version of what you'd have on your computer, and it just works really well. And now I have to spend $100 freaking to get the professional version on there. So let me just give you a quick little demonstration. Now this we can. No, I get the point. It's not really working very well. This thing is significantly slower. Is it usable? So and so. Technically, the apps on this thing are out of date, so you can't update them. So you can't get very good updates. Now, significantly, this thing's at 7%, by the way. Significantly, this thing is, because of this version of the App Store being out of date, a lot of these apps are at least 3 years old to this time. I mean, you can still search, like, oh boy. This is what I wish was on the newer, App Store. So I'm just going to search something real fast. Just going to search LumaFusion. Let's use to add this stuff with LumaFusion cannot be updated. on this device, or it can't be installed. Because this thing runs on iOS 11 or later. No, this came out a couple of years back, in 2018. Up till then, it was actually one of the best editors of its time, and they even outpowered iMovie. I used to edit all my videos in iMovie on my old iPhone 6 and this iPhone until LumaFusion came out. Then once I was able to get a hold of that, I managed to use that. Now, just looking at this, like the way it looks, like in general, like the way the orientation, this thing has first generation Retina display, which is what all the iPads and all the iPhones have nowadays. This was the first one that came out with Retina display. Now, this came out when I was in probably middle school, about 6 years ago. And it's to this day, this thing's been through a lot of iOS updates. And sadly, the thing just can't update anymore. So it's kind of like taking medication. Once this thing stopped updating, it just falls apart digitally. And physically, it's falling apart too. I mean, at this case that's coming apart. I mean, I'm going to do a quick little comparison between my iPad Pro and my new iPad. I did a video on this a while back, but I want to do another one just to show, like, I don't know which one's which. Obviously, the new one's better, but I'll just do a quick little comparison real fast. So, this is a comparison real fast, physical comparison. I've already done an actual video on this, so maybe I'll link it, I don't know. So, first, this one, you can't even tap it. You can't tap to turn on. You have to do is here's a home button, and it takes like it hesitates to turn on. This one tap, and yeah. Now basically, you have a home screen on both devices. You will notice that the iPad has less saturation. That's because this right here, at least the iPad Pro, I believe, was one of the first iPads to get the night shift. I mean, I could be wrong. I know that it comes with True Tone display, so if you turn off night shift and you turn off True Tone, it makes the screen a lot like this. But you turn on both of these, it's easier on the eyes, and actually once you turn it down, it's much easier at nighttime. Makes this thing easier to use at night, so you can be editing a late night video with your iPad, and you wouldn't have to worry about straining your eyes too much. On this iPad, this thing has I believe has a blue light filter, which means just not as straining on the eyes, but it can do eye damage after a long period of time. Now, this thing has a full HD display. This thing does not. They both have Retina. This has Liquid Retina, so obviously Liquid Retina is more sharper, especially when it comes to editing photography. You can fit a lot more apps down here. Although here you can only fit like 4 or 5. So this thing is much more powerful. You can navigate it by dragging up from the top, and it's much easier. That originated from the iPhone 10. Before that, it was all phones and buttons, like my iPhone 8 Plus, which has a Force Touch home button. Now, these apps do not delete themselves. Now, the accessibility on the interface, so like dragging apps and stuff, because of the hardware, it doesn't have 3D touch or anything, so it's a bit slower. It doesn't, even just looking at like the bezels opposed to this nice widescreen iPad, which basically after looking at this thing for 6 years and then upgrading to this, it's kind of like, wow, a difference, right? Now this thing on iOS 10, you get the iCloud Drive opposed to this, which gets the storage app. This does have 3D touch, but it's very mild compared to the iPhone 8 Plus and forward. It's only has certain pressure points where you can, get the activity log. So hit that, opens right up. I'm able to drive my videos out in no time at all. LumaFusion on this device is significantly faster. So, much better application. And it's just going to go on an app that they both have. Takes a while, doesn't it? No. I don't use iMovie on this iPad very well, my new iPad. I use LumaFusion a lot, so. But since this is an Apple app, it is physically compatible. And so yeah, you can see it plays back much smoother opposed to the iPad, which yeah, it's okay, not the best. No, obviously the new one's a lot better, but some of you guys might be against that. Might say, "Oh no, the iPad 4 is." Well, I don't know. I can say this thing's way better. I mean, it's way slower, and it's just. It used to be a wonderful iPad. Now it's a lot. It's just not what it used to be. But like I said, this thing has a lot on it. I can't take off, so I have to deal with it and keep it. So technically, this is an antique as of right now. So and updates don't even update properly. Like, so. And if I had. So yeah, a lot slower though. I can't even get the thing to. Yeah, I mean technically you can see right from here. It's really slow. It's gonna go dead. So I'm gonna turn this off. Basically, you get how it is. I'm just gonna take it out of the case real fast, do a physical examination, and that'll be it. All right, this is it outside of its case. I got that little tiny camera on it. It doesn't even have a flashlight. So get that little tiny 3-roll camera, and you got that big ass professional camera sensor right there with a flashlight and a microphone right there and an Apple Pencil. I mean, how can you get better than that? Yeah, loads everything up with a heartbeat. Yeah, really nice machine. I prefer to use this on my editing and photography work. It's really good for photography. You get that nice sun. I took a picture of that moon. Yeah, look at that moon. I took it myself. I just did a little editing. This is the original image. This is the after image. So basically, it's not a photography channel. You get a lot more with this new iPad. Much faster, much more sleek, and I get all my work done in a heartbeat. Much better processor too. This is good for a backup if I want to like listen to music and stuff, but it is a lot slower, so it does. I do lose my patience a lot faster. But not to say it's worthless. It's just not like it used to be. So that's the iPad Pro. I'm sorry. That's the iPad 4th generation in 2019. That's all I can really say about it right now. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to peace out.